Welcome to the Inner Revolution series. I'm Tina, and my guest today is Natalia Kuna. Natalia is a psychic, energy healer, spiritual coach, and angel intuitive. In her work, she guides, heals, and uplifts others to awaken their true, authentic self, their innate soul essence and purpose. Thanks so much for being here, Natalia.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
So let's jump right in. Natalia, what is our true, authentic self? Why should we experience it? And how would that help us, with our daily struggles, with our mind, our self criticism, our past experiences? So give us a little bit an explanation.
Yeah, well, really, we all know that we have this innate sense of our true self within us. But when we're born onto this earth, which is a very sort of difficult energy at times, we just lose touch with that. And we always have this little flame within us that reminds us, and especially us, those of us who are the light workers and the soul seekers, the empaths and the energy sensitives, we have this feeling like we're so much more, and yet, when we've sometimes shown that to others, sometimes it's not being reciprocated, or we just get a dense or negative reaction, and we learn to dim those lights. And actually, the topic for today, the angels really wanted to bring that through. They really gave me the feeling of wanting to remind us who we are and to rise up to that next level, because as so much light comes down onto earth, which it has been for some time now, and we go through these pockets of energy where there's all these energy shifts and you can really feel it. It's like those days where you wake up and all of a sudden everything feels brighter. But they remind us that we are already that as we are. It's just that we rise and fall and, go through our difficulties, which is all normal. But the message through everything is that we are shifting, we are evolving, and that we also can elevate and transform and go that next level ourselves. Sometimes the energy does it for us, but we can also do it ourselves. And so we do have a higher version of ourselves available to us at any time, and it's there for us to step into. And the more that you're aware of this and do it, the easier it gets. So basically, your higher version self, or you can call it whatever you like. You can call it, like you said, the true self. It's really the highest you that you can be as a human, right? And it's the sort of like a higher, more advanced version, kind of like if we're an iPhone and then you get the upgrades and you're that
Mhm.
next level and you don't have those glitches. But we can fall and rise and it's all normal. But when you're that higher version and you've been upgraded, and you all know when you've had those moments, like I mentioned before, that's the closest you can be in this lifetime to God's source, to the higher energy, and it feels great. And we just need to be reminded that that potential is always here for us at any time, that we can access it. We're actually not, we might feel we're one dimensional, let alone three dimensional, but we're actually multi-dimensional. And there's so much more in this, so much that science and metaphysics is actually showing to us, which is that we can quantum shift to a higher reality, to other timelines. So that's a whole other topic. But really, your higher version self is connected to all of that. And it can really be quite simple. It doesn't have to be complicated or anything like that. And everyone's different with that, but it has so many positive benefits,
Mhm.
not just for yourself, but also other people around you. It has that ripple effect where others see and sense your light and your brightness, and it impacts them on some level. And because, in this world of darkness, the angels once showed me an image of sometimes get images, an image of a globe of earth and all these little lights around, scattered around the earth, which is us, the light workers, or, the souls that have that sense that we're this soul and we're not just human. And they just wanted to remind us that they see that. They see our brilliance and we forget and we dim our lights.
Ah, okay. So if there is a higher self, there must also be a lower self. So now when, let's say, I wake up in the morning, I'm completely anxious, right? Or I struggle with my relationship, or I have, this, I was traumatized in my past. And then today I feel all the effects, like the self criticism and you know, how, like that once I experience that, that would mean I'm in the dimension of the lower self, right? So how do I, once I experience these strong emotions and I feel uncomfortable in this moment, do I remind myself, wait, that's not all there is. Like, how do I get in this moment of like struggle, right? How do I get to the higher
Yeah.
self?
I really know what you mean because I've gone through it all too, and sometimes it feels worse.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it takes a lot, and at other times it's not too hard. But yet that lower I love the way that you said if there's a higher, there has to be a lower because that's how it works. This the laws of duality and so on, and it really is like 2 sides of the coin, but it's all the one coin. And so that's where that remembrance of who you are and your fullness and your wholeness, and that you are an embodiment of something higher, walking around like this little human that has to sort of go through this seesaw. So there are things you can do when you feel in your lower self. That the lower self is, some people might call it the ego or your shadow
Mhm.
self. It's really just the lower, sort of toxic, dense energy, all the emotions. Often you feel also like you are lost and alone and separate, which is really ironic or interesting because they show us that, because we feel so separate, we're on the other end of the spectrum. Because if we felt that sense of unity, the complete opposite, that's when we're closest to our higher self. So that's
Mhm.
where this whole topic kind of comes full circle. So there are lots of things you can do. But I just wanted to also first talk about the difference between the higher version self, the higher self, and the soul, and our
Ah,
sort of humanness, and bring it all together and then
exactly.
go through some steps. So, because all really connects with the message that's coming through, which is that. So, I've mentioned the higher version self. We also have what people refer to as the higher self, and it can all get a bit confusing. So, just think of your higher self as your most ultimate energy self, that's in the multi dimensions, in the ethers. It's outside of you. It's not your human body, and it's bigger than you. It's the ultimate. It's magnificent. It's omnipotent, filled with spirit energy, and it gives you much guidance as well, just like the angels and your guides do. You can uh, speak with your higher self and channel through that energy to guide you because it knows you more than anybody. It's been with you, not been with you, well, it's overlooked all your lifetimes, but that's where your soul comes into place as well. I'll talk about in a moment. And it has a higher frequency. So just our most spiritual self without our sense of self and identity. And then we have our soul, which feels more to most people like it's more embodied within you. It
Mhm.
feels like you feel it in your heart. So everyone can connect with that, or in your core. And it's an embodiment of you, your soul, but it comes with you, it travels with you for all your lifetimes. So the angels gave me a picture of a sun, and they said that the sun represents, so this is your soul, the circle, and each ray is like each lifetime you've had. So it's all
Ah,
interconnected. And I really loved this image. It's so visual and it really makes a lot of sense.
mhm.
And so, this is the core of the soul. And then imagine in this lifetime, this is you now in this lifetime here. And when you're your higher version self, which I mentioned earlier, you're most connected to the sun. You're closer to the soul. You're more
Mhm.
closer to the soul. You have that higher energy. So, therefore, closer to your higher self and God and the angels and all that stuff. It's a higher frequency and it's very light. You're filled with your light. And then as you go down that spectrum to your lower self, and that's your what we were talking about, where everything's hard and everything's awful. And that's interestingly enough, that's more connected with the base reality, to lower density and to earth, right? And so they showed that image to show that it's a spectrum and that you can move up and down that scale.
Okay.
So that comes into play with one of the things that you can do to help when you're feeling down, which is to think of yourself as a building, and you have many levels. So I mentioned before, we're not one-dimensional, we're multidimensional, we're multi-level. So think of the lower floor as interestingly, the base floor. So like your base chakra, the lowest, like a basement. That is your base self. And that is when, imagine that whole floor to be dark and dingy and heavy and everyone's arguing and it's horrible. And then as you go up the levels, the very last level at the top, that's the penthouse suite, has the nice big windows everywhere, right? Whereas the basement is all covered and planks on all the windows, you can't see anything. And you have that overview, much like your higher self has an overview of everything. And everything is lighter and brighter and higher in frequency. And you feel great. You're skipping around, singing and doing your stuff. And it's lovely up there. So one of the things that you can do is when you're feeling lower is just to remember, like you said, remember who you are. Remember you are that building and that higher level exists. You
Mm-hmm.
might feel like it's so far away and you are so down there. But other times you might be on floor 3 or 5 or 8, and it's just a bit of tweaking to get there. So if you have that image in your consciousness or you're just aware, the first step I would say is awareness
Mm-hmm.
for everything. Everything in the spiritual world is be aware first. When you have that awareness, that consciousness, everything moves from that point. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're aware that you have this higher version self, but you're feeling low right now, then assess. So go into yourself, have that quiet time, and really assess and feel what are the lower qualities I have? What are some higher qualities that I could sort of like channel through? And if you can't do that, that's fine. Just do that if you can. Sometimes it's just like, oh, there's no way. And then so have that sort of feeling of that you're really feeling into it and you're being really aware. And then from that point, you can work towards releasing. You can do that a number of ways, simple things like journaling and exercising and growth
Mm-hmm.
walks and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, right down to energy techniques, meditation, visualization. You could visualize a whole lot of light coming down onto your shadow self or your lower self and cleansing and releasing that, or you can, get some energy work done if you need to. Uh, and just really seeing that change can happen at any time, at any moment, and it's all in the now. Because when we're feeling low, we're often thinking of the past and all our traumas come back, and it's all mixed up. Especially as an energy sensitive or empath, you're just taking it all on. It's not your own stuff, it's other people's, and it's just this big mess sometimes. So when you recognize whose energy and what everything is, and then you step from awareness and assessment to releasing, when you pass that stage, sometimes that can be just quick like this, other times it might take some time and not all on the same day, and that's okay, because I'm not talking here about spiritual bypassing, which is what some people call just skippy D and let's just pretend it doesn't exist. We're not pretending, we're actually really recognizing it's the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
sitting within ourselves. So sometimes just sitting, being with ourselves, feeling where is that energy. And you'll be surprised, but a lot of people who are not really in touch with energy at all or can't visualize, feel it. You can feel it in your body. Maybe your stomach is tense or whatever it is. Let's say your stomach's tense. Feel it and sit with that emotion for a while and just see what comes up for you. And
Mm-hmm.
most likely you'll know who and what that is, and then you can work to release that. So it's sitting with it. You can visualize. So from there, once you've done some release work, you'll be a clearer space with which to then go that next level and connect with your higher self or your higher version self, even as a kind of representation of who you are when you're in your highest potential. And we're not looking for perfect here. It's not about being superwoman or everything has to be perfect. It's dropping all of that. That's all ego still. It's knowing, having that spark within you, knowing that you are the spiritual being, that you have a soul. You just know it, and it's growing that from there and really nurturing that and rising to meet that higher level. And it
Okay.
can just be one little notch. It's okay. That's a step.
Uh,
Uh,
uh, uh.
and pray. You can say, "Dear God and the angels, thank you so much for watching over me. Please help me release what I need to and step into my highest version. I am ready, open, and aware." Anything like that that also activates the energy, and it creates an open space for that change to take place, which is why that release work is so important, because you're breaking up all the darker, denser energy and you're coming into a kind of homeostasis with your natural default setting, and
Mm-hmm.
you're resetting yourself and you're taking yourself to the next level, or potentially, because you have worked through that and now you're ready for the next steps.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So it's basically on a physical level and on the mind level. That's where suffering is experienced, right? Like
Yes.
in the form of a human being. But we have to realize that this is okay. This is the our physical appearance, right? Our thoughts and stuff. It's also matter, but we are like the energy. Like we are soul. We are energy, right? That like animates this human being. So I like to visualize it like this, like as if we are like souls, we are like energy, and in this lifetime, it's our role to play a human being, and all suffering and
Mm.
all experiences and everything gets stored and like yeah, processed in this human being. So when I personally, when I feel like really, like caught up in my thoughts and my emotions, and it just don't feel well, I don't use the building metaphor. I like to, like to zoom out, zoom out. Like if I'm like looking at my human being from far away, and I remember, okay, the suffering happens here, but like I'm not that. Does that correspond with your
Yeah.
idea of higher lower
Oh,
self? I
yeah, I love that. That's really giving a higher outlook, where what you're doing is, and this is my favorite line that the angels gave me many years ago, and it's just stuck and it's so good. It's observe, not absorb. So
ah,
you're stepping out. So it's like you're seeing it from a higher perspective. You're stepping out of
mm-hmm,
that whole energy.
yeah,
And the more you do this, or if you're more in touch with energy, it's easier. But you can just visualize it. You're just stepping out, and up here it's nice and light, and down here is heavy,
yeah,
right? It's all the gunk, and it's like being a bird in the sky and looking down and having that overview, and you're out of it, or standing on a bridge looking down, and so you're observing. And from that higher level, and when you're observing, you're in the state of, well, who's that person that's observing? It's like your higher self coming through you.
yeah,
And then you realize, oh, okay, and then you step out of that sort of those human lower qualities and you see the density for what it is. You can quite literally do that when you're observing. Don't absorb that energy, because as empaths or energy sensitives, you might naturally go, oh God, because you're thinking about all the stuff. And then it
yeah,
starts to, you feel it on you,
yeah,
starts to come on like this heavy blanket. So it's not about that. It's like you can literally take off that blanket. I could feel it now as an energy form. Let's say I started to feel it a bit. Swoop that off,
yeah.
energy, release it, as if to a etheric rubbish bin, or out to the light, or to the angels, and be outside of it like a head out of water, because when you're in the water, it feels all thick and like you can't breathe. And so when your head's out, you feel that lightness, and that's really, what it's like.
Wow. I love the sentence observe and don't absorb. Also because, maybe some people are listening to us, right? And they've never heard about, or they are not don't really have a connection yet with spirituality and this idea that everything's energy and we're connected. But I like to tell, someone who is like having doubts about all this, I say, listen, you feel a feeling, right? So there is a feeling, there is an emotion, there is a thought, but you are observing it. So who is this the observer, right? So that means there is something outside of your like brain, mind, body, right? So that's actually a good, like, being aware of this fact that you are not the emotion, you're not the thought, you are observing it, right? And you can also choose to shift your focus, right? You can choose, because if you don't give it your attention, it's like a spotlight. If you don't give it your attention, it can't exist, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mm.
love the way you say to that you can literally step out of it, and, like what you're saying, let's say you're up on a bridge in your mind and you're looking down of it, you're outside of it, you're not absorbing it. You can actually do some kind of energy work or visualization to move aside that energy so that when you land back down, you're not going to plunk yourself back in there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's to the side or you release it and you're to the side of it and you're staying in observing state so that you're really grounding in that higher awareness and higher knowledge. You're really grounded within yourself rather than being all out there and sort of airy fairy. You're grounded within yourself. The energy is outside of you. For example, sometimes in an energy session with a person, if something comes up, I see the energy of their stuff. Sometimes it's a ball that I hold in my hand, or this energy, or sometimes it might be a psychic session, and someone's sort of narcissistic partner pops up, and I'm like, oh, so I just kind of like put them to the side there, and I literally hold the energy there because I'm very empathic. But also with the client, they start to feel it too, and they start to feel down because we're talking about it, it's coming up. They start to feel it. So just push it and keep it to the side. And quite literally, you can do that so that any energy of what you're experiencing is outside of you to the side and there's more energy techniques you can use such as protection and so on.
Uh-huh.
So you're not a part of it. You're not in it. You're just outside of it, observing it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
also, when you mentioned it's a choice, I really liked that because it really is that it's a choice every day, even simple things. So, after you do the awareness and the releasing and the connecting, then it's the action steps because sometimes there's an instant transformation just through the connection and awareness and so on and releasing. But at other times, you need to take action steps like anything, like implementing any kind of change. And sometimes it's just if you want to step into a kind of higher version or more true self, then you can remind yourself, like, throughout the day, such as if I write HVS on my hand, higher version self, I'll just be reminded during the day because, we get on with life and then we forget all about it. And then, and then we enter our lower selves so quickly. Like, for example, today I was meditating, I was in a great space, and then my son was in a mood. And straight away, my mood was down, like, not now.
Uh,
And then I realized, here we go, here's a lesson. So I no, come back to your higher version self. Put that energy to the side. Stop absorbing it because I was absorbing it. Um, and then it's making a choice. It's choosing to align with a higher way. And you can do this with anything. I really learned several years ago that acceptance for what is so
mm.
helpful. It is what it is. That's the saying which really works for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
what it is.
yeah, yeah.
That way, you're not taking it on because we
Mm-hmm.
take on so much as sensitive souls. We just take on the world and everybody. It's too much. And also, if you have to do something such as go to an event and you really don't want to, but you have to, and you're going to see people that just are not in their higher self, um, then I dare you to be your highest version self and go to the party or event with that because what happens sometimes, and I find I do it myself, I dim my light around certain people and I be a bit more of a lower version and then I pick up on the energy and it just goes drags on from there and then I feel tired and then I'm like, person's gone away and not really experienced who I truly am.
Mm-hmm.
They might get little snippets of it. But if I instead, especially with people that you fall into a kind of routine with or habit, where there'll be certain people in your life where when you're with them, you always kind of like dim down and you don't show them maybe even your spiritual side or talk about it, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I have someone in mind, for example, with that. And so I've told myself, so tomorrow night when I go to this house, I'm going to turn up as my higher version self. And I can already see and sense the change that that will make. And so it's making the most of it, making the most of, even if you have to go to this annoying thing, just make the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that really comes down to intention and mindset and perspective.
Mm-hmm. 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 So you set the intention, and this is also how you guide your energies, right? Like by or like what I like to do is when I have to go into one of these situations, right? I I visualize like how like an energy field protects me. And it really works. It's so simple, right? I just want to show people, like how simple it can be. Sometimes our mind makes everything so complicated, but in
Yeah.
our other versions, in our higher versions, everything is so much simpler, right? It's so much easier. Everything is so much, it's flowing, right? And then when you look down at your suffering and at the problems, right? If you like, if you look at it from a distance, it becomes smaller, right? So it's really this like moving, seeing the bigger picture of it all. Like the human being that has maybe experienced trauma, the human being that is experiencing suffering, it's just a tiny, tiny, tiny little part of life, right? But what you are is so much more, right? Because we tend
Yeah.
to identify ourselves only with our problems and the stories. Like when people say, "This is my story," it's not your story. It's a story of life, right? It's like it just happens.
Absolutely, and then the more that they affirm that's their story, the more that happens and they're stuck. It's like a loop, the
Mm-hmm.
tape recorder, and you're just stuck in that little lower where you're going around the same roundabout, experiencing the same stuff. And sometimes one day when I was driving, the angels showed me, sometimes they just come through when you're in that sort of relaxed state, that instead of there was a roundabout coming up and they were just showing how people do that, but instead they're showing me that there's actually lots of different options. There's different roads, different highways, lanes, and so on that you can take, and you can choose to take that higher lane, the higher choice, rather
Mm-hmm.
than just keep going around in that mindless loop. We've all been in that loop, and it feels horrible. But what we forget, and that comes back to the core message for today, is we just forget we have this divine power. We're so much more. We so much more multidimensional. And if we all we got to do is, I love what you say about simplicity because I'm all about the simplicity. None of this is needs to be complicated. It's just your true essence is simple. It is divine, and you feel the best when your life is simple.
Yeah.
We're in this life where there's just so much, and we're bombarded with everything, and a lot of people can't sit still. And so for the people out there that really find it hard to sit down with themselves, sit through it and go there. Your mind will go around in circles. Learn some mindfulness techniques to sort of just let those thoughts float away. And you'll feel great and content with yourself. What might happen initially is you'll feel some of the stuff you haven't wanted to, that you've been avoiding and pushing down. It will come up. You'll start to feel it. Why you don't want to sit down because you know you got the stuff flying around. The stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's flying around you and all the stuff you're going through is gonna keep going around in that loop, and then
Mm-hmm.
more stuff will get worse. So, the snowball effect. So, sitting down with yourself, keeping things simple, just breathing, coming back into you. In fact, I got something today, the angels showed me. It's just a simple thing that you already have done before, which is the prayer hands.
Mm-hmm.
But they showed me, for example, a very simple energy technique with this. If you picture your higher version self or your higher self, it doesn't really matter, above you, and that you put your hands up, put them in the prayer pose, and then you're bringing down that energy, and you're bringing it. You will feel it almost like as
Mm-hmm.
you go down, you feel like that feeling of that energy there, a bit of
Mm-hmm.
thickness there, and you embody that higher self energy within yourself, and you feel really balanced and centered and in the now. And they remind that it's like the cross, where your heart is the center of the cross, and that's your connection. It's like a portal to the
Mm-hmm.
other side. And so you are centered in that, and it feels so good, and you feel so grounded with your feet on the ground. And that is a way, if you're all over the place, just to come back into yourself and pull it all in. It's like
Yeah.
you're pulling your energy in because a lot of us, we either throw our energy away, we get it taken from us, we give it, we don't even know. You might be operating at 20% of your full
Uh-huh.
self, right? Your full energy. And so it's bringing it back to you. So it comes really all down to energy, awareness, frequency, keeping it simple, embodying,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that you can step up at any time, but it's okay to also go through the hard stuff because it's meant for us too. We carry these lessons. It's all part of the divine plan to go through. The soul will keep reincarnating until we work it all out and then
Yeah.
return eventually to the higher self as that spirit energy and back at
Yeah.
one with God. Already at one with source energy, but we feel so separate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow, I love, all these little simple, tools, but they can make such a big difference. And I think for maybe someone who is a beginner who also doesn't really know how to meditate or how to be aware or something, I think this example with the building, it's so simple because, when you are caught up in your thoughts and your emotions and your anxiety and your suffering, okay, imagine yourself at the lowest level, right? And imagine that the lowest level is like really chaotic and there's a lot of stuff falling around and you have to maybe stumble over obstacles and it's hard to get through, but
Yeah.
eventually you find the stairs. And as soon as you move up a level, it already feels a little bit lighter, right? So it's okay to look at all the rubble and all the stuff and the garbage that's lying around in the basement, all the problems. But then you step up, right? You find your way up. And so I think this is a really easy visualization, like to enter into this state of higher self. And then we feel like, if you do a moment of like grounding, it makes immediately a difference, right? Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. And I want to say too, what comes up when you say that is many people feel scared to
mhm.
go within. They're scared at what might come up of what they're avoiding. And so don't be afraid to see.
Yeah,
Seeing is, I got goosebumps right now because it is like it's the seed of awareness. That's where everything goes from there, and a frequency opens up.
yeah.
And to remember, you might feel like the wilted flower, but you can rise up and bloom again.
Exactly. And, talking about the building again, I just came to my mind, I mean, you said some people don't want to go and look inside. They're scared. I mean, look at your
Yeah.
house, how often, sometimes the basement is a really messy place, right? And you put everything for years, you put everything into the basement. And then,
Yeah.
you should probably, fix it and clean it, but you don't want to go there because you know how hard it will be to clean it up, right? So this is our stories and the past and all this stuff, but eventually we have to start, right? If not, it piles up and we don't find the stairs to get up. So
Absolutely. And also, our house is very much a sign of what we're going through.
yeah.
Like, so
Mm.
if there is clutter, I mean, it happens to all of us. We have clutter, we get busy, but clutter often represents the stuff you don't want to see, and it will keep being in your face, and you'll keep tripping over it until you break your foot. And then when you break your foot, you're forced to sit down on the couch and not move, and then you deal
Yeah,
with your
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
go in your recovery mode, and then you start to clean up your house eventually, and so on. And when your plumbing goes, it's all a representation of something. Everything is interconnected. So when you begin to see that the whole world is a mirror of us, and everything is energy, and we're being shown all the time. Even, for example, earlier when my son was being a bit anxious and angry, um, it's a sign, okay, noted, maybe later on we'll have a chat or something,
Yeah.
and if I ignored it, which has happened before, or if I'm lower self and I'm all shitty now and now he's ruined my day, then I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the opportunity for growth, healing, and improvement, because once I
Hmm.
have that chat with him, for example, energy shifts.
Yeah.
So it's like a light bulb goes off. There's light in the home, and it's a ripple effect from everybody else. Then you can do the other action steps like clear your house, sage it, open the windows, let some air in, and do all the other things. But that's really how simple it is. And again, it comes down to what are you avoiding and why. And it's okay. In fact, it's please do look.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And be surprised.
Wow. I love this. We could go on and on, like I love this how we like lose ourselves in our metaphors. Like you remember the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it makes it so much easier, right? Because the mind works like that. If you visualize, the mind understands pictures, right? So this is how it really works. It's beautiful. It's really simple and really nice to hear all this little, like share our experiences and our tools. We already come to an end. It's like time passes, time flies. But I wanted to tell people like about your gift. I think you also prepared a meditation, right?
I have a meditation to really step into seeing your higher version self, and receiving a message to help you bridge the gap between your lower and your higher self. to
Wow.
trust the intuition and guidance that you receive, because when we are, so back to the sun again, when we are our lower self, we can't see the wood for the trees.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
everything's in darkness. So that when we do a meditation to see that that higher reality does exist, that higher version, you can receive a message, and then you'll know, because that whole gap there, which feels like a big empty void, you'll receive a key, a message, or something just to take that next step, or have that awareness to take you to that next level and help you along the journey.
Wow, beautiful. I'll try it out. I can't wait to try it out. Thank you so much. So all the information about Natalia, there will be a link under the video where you can also claim your gift. And then I think you also have like a spiritual online school, right? Where people can join. It's all on your website, right? So you can get in touch with her, or if you want to have, maybe a connection with your angel or a psychic reading. So get in touch with Natalia. Natalia, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. And
Me
you
too.
can
Thank you
feel
so
it,
much,
like
Dr.
you are shining, like you can feel the connection. Thank you so
Yeah, me
much.
too.
Take good care.
Thank you.
Hello, I hope you enjoyed all that information. I have a free guided meditation that I created to go along with the summit talk you just watched, where I guide you through the process to connect with your higher version self, feel its incredible energy, and intuitively receive a message that bridges you from where you are now to where you want to be. So go ahead and join me on that journey. The link is on the screen and in the description below.